Most men walk through life starving for approval, from women, from friends, from strangers who don't even know their name. They can't breathe unless someone validates their existence. Their entire sense of worth is tied to external praise. Likes, followers, compliments, a nod from the crowd. And they don't even realize how dangerous that is. The man who needs to be liked, the man who bends his identity for acceptance, is already under someone else's control. He's a puppet, a slave to the opinions of the crowd. That's not strength. That's weakness wrapped in a polite smile. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In The Prince, he made it clear it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Why? Because fear is stable. Fear is predictable. Fear is power. Love is emotional, fleeting, unreliable. When you chase validation, you hand over the keys to your mind, your emotions, your self-worth. You become fragile. A word can destroy you. A look can shatter you. You don't belong to yourself anymore. You belong to the crowd. Foolish men, they can't stand being misunderstood. They feel the need to explain themselves to everyone, to prove they're a good guy, to convince people they mean well. They think if they just say the right things, dress the right way, agree with the right opinions, then they'll finally be accepted. What they don't realize is, every time they do that, they weaken themselves. Simply withdraw. They're not building identity, they're losing it. They're not gaining power, they're bleeding it. When a man is obsessed with being liked, he will compromise everything. His values, his time, his dignity. He will say yes when he should say no. He will stay quiet when he should speak. He will smile when he should walk away. And the world will take advantage of him. Because the world respects power, not politeness. People can smell desperation. And when they see you desperate for their approval, they will manipulate you. They will use your need for acceptance to control you, guilt you, bend you. It starts small, laughing at jokes that insult you, agreeing to favors that drain you, apologizing for things you didn't even do. But it grows. Soon you're shaping your whole life around other people's expectations. You're not leading, you're being led. And you don't even realize it. You call it kindness. You call it humility. But deep down it's fear. The fear of rejection. The fear of being alone. The fear of being disliked. And that fear is the leash around your neck. There's a reason the most powerful men in history weren't obsessed with being liked. They were respected. They were decisive. They didn't ask for approval. They created impact. They stood on truth, not trends. They spoke when others stayed silent. And if people didn't like it, too bad, because power doesn't ask for permission. Foolish men think emotion is strength. They wear their heart on their sleeve and call it honesty. They react in anger, cry in frustration, explode in jealousy, and then wonder why they keep losing. They think feeling deeply is a sign of being real, being human, being noble. But there's nothing noble about being unpredictable. There's nothing strong about being ruled by emotions. In fact, that's exactly what makes you weak. Because anyone who knows your emotional triggers can control you. The man who is led by his feelings is easy to read, easy to provoke, easy to destroy. Machiavelli didn't romanticize emotion. He didn't see it as a virtue. He saw it for what it really is, a liability in the hands of the undisciplined. The prince who makes decisions based on mercy, love, or guilt instead of strategy is a fool waiting to be overthrown. The general who gets angry on the battlefield doesn't win the war. He dies in it. That's the cold truth. Emotion is only useful when you've mastered it, when you can channel it, control it, weaponize it. But if it controls you, it owns you. Modern men have been taught that suppressing emotion is toxic, but they confuse suppression with control. Control doesn't mean you never feel. It means you never act without thinking. It means emotion doesn't sit in the driver's seat. You don't let fear decide your moves. You don't let insecurity drive your decisions. You don't let sadness stop your grind. Because when you do, your enemies win. They'll watch you spiral, and they'll smile because you're doing their job for them. You're self-destructing while they stay calm and calculated. Emotion blinds you. It makes you misread situations. It makes you trust too soon, forgive too easily, attack too quickly. It turns you into a fool with no sense of timing. A man with no emotional control is like a sword with no handle. He hurts himself every time he tries to strike, and everyone around him gets hurt in the process. He ruins opportunities, relationships, reputations, all because he never learned to pause, breathe, think, and then act. He lives in reaction mode, always on edge, always overthinking, always regretting. Strategy, on the other hand, is clean, is sharp, it's deadly in the right hands. It sees through lies, cuts through emotion, and focuses on the long game. It doesn't flinch when things get ugly. It doesn't panic when plans go wrong. Strategy watches, waits, adapts. That's the mindset Machiavelli taught. The mindset that wins in silence, that moves with intention, that strikes only when the outcome is guaranteed. It doesn't matter how passionate you are if your passion leads you off a cliff. It doesn't matter how emotional you are if your emotions expose your weaknesses to the world. People will use your emotions against you. They'll poke, bait you into reacting so they can play the victim while you look like the villain. They'll get under your skin and make you self-destruct while they stay composed and calculating. And the worst part is, they simply withdraw. You won't even realize you're being played until it's too late. Foolish men trust too quickly. They believe words over patterns, promises over history, charm over character. They hear someone say, "I've got your back," and they believe it without question. They let people in, expose their weaknesses, reveal their thoughts, share their plans, thinking loyalty is natural, thinking good intentions are common. But Machiavelli made one thing clear: loyalty must be tested, not assumed. Trust must be earned through action, not emotion. And any man who gives blind trust is handing over a weapon to someone who might use it against him. People are not always who they appear to be. The smiling friend could be the hidden rival. The loving partner could be a ticking time bomb. The coworker who praises you might envy you. And yet, foolish men ignore the signs. They explain away the red flags. They assume everyone thinks like them. Honestly, straightforwardly, with good intentions. That assumption is deadly, because most people don't move with honor. They move with advantage in mind. They are loyal to their own gain, not to your name. And if your success stands in their way, they will turn on you in a second. Machiavelli knew that trust is a strategic risk, not an emotional gift. A wise man observes behavior. He listens more than he speaks. He sets traps not to harm, but to reveal. He tests people's motives through small scenarios before giving them access to anything real. He pays attention to inconsistencies, to who shows up in silence, to who speaks differently when no one's watching, and most importantly, he withholds trust until trust is proven. Not once, consistently, under pressure, over time. Foolish men don't do this. They project their own loyalty onto others. They assume that because they wouldn't betray someone, no one else would either. That's not kindness. That's naivety. That's blindness disguised as virtue, and the world doesn't spare knave men. It punishes them. It uses their innocence as leverage. It takes their openness and turns it into ammunition. One leak of information, one misplaced trust, one false ally, and everything they built collapses. There's a reason betrayal hits so hard. It's not because the act itself is complex. It's because you gave someone power they never deserved. You trusted without qualification. You handed them the blueprints to your foundation, the keys to your defenses, the knowledge of your habits, and expected them to be gentle with it. But power is tempting. Weak people can't resist it. And most people are weak when the opportunity is great enough. A man who walks into a war zone with his back exposed is either a fool or already dead. The same goes for life. Your friends, your lovers, your business partners. Every one of them has the potential to be loyal or to be lethal. You don't get to choose their true nature, but you do get to decide how much access they have before revealing it. Machiavelli didn't say trust no one. He said test everyone. And if they fail the test, even once, believe them, not their excuses, not their charm, not their tears. Believe their betrayal. Comfort is seductive. It whispers to you in the early morning, telling you to stay in bed just a little longer. It calls to you when the grind gets hard, offering an escape, a distraction, a softer path. But comfort is a liar. It promises peace and delivers decay. It pretends to be a reward, but it's a trap. Foolish men chase comfort like it's the goal, not realizing that every step toward it is a step away from greatness. They think comfort means they've made it. They think ease is a sign of success, but nothing of real value is born from ease. Everything that lasts, everything that matters, is forged in struggle, in discipline, in suffering. Machiavelli understood this. Power doesn't belong to the man who sits back and enjoys the fruits of his labor. It belongs to the one who is always on edge, always sharpening the blade, always anticipating the next threat. Because the second you get comfortable, you stop growing, you stop preparing, you stop evolving. And in that moment, there's someone hungrier than you, someone who hasn't tasted what you've tasted, is coming for your spot. Comfort makes you forget what it took to earn it. It blinds you to the reality that nothing is ever truly secure, that what you have can be taken from you the second you let your guard down. Foolish men don't see the slow erosion happening in comfort. They think they're resting, but they're actually rotting. They think they're recovering, but they're losing their edge. Every day without discomfort is a day you get softer, a day you get slower, a day you lose the fire. The body weakens, the mind dulls, the spirit fades. You start justifying laziness. You start telling yourself you've earned it. You stop chasing, stop grinding, stop suffering. And that's when you start dying, slowly, silently, without even noticing. Pain is the currency of strength. Discipline is the root of freedom. Discomfort is the path to growth. The man who understands this doesn't look for the easy route. He seeks resistance. He finds the thing that hurts and runs toward it. He doesn't fear the grind. He embraces it. Because he knows that the more he suffers now, the less he'll suffer when it counts. He knows that pressure builds power, that only in the fire is a man's true nature revealed. The enemy isn't waiting for you to get stronger. The enemy is hoping you get comfortable. He wants you to relax. He wants you to take a day off, skip a workout, ease up on the pressure. Because he knows that every time you choose comfort, you become less of a threat. You become easier to break, easier to predict, easier to beat. And when that day comes, the day when everything is on the line, he'll be sharper, faster, colder, not because he's better, but because he never stopped training while you were resting. Foolish men want rewards without sacrifice. They want results without resistance. They want strength without struggle. But that's not how it works. That's not how you build anything real. Foolish men think life is fair. They believe that if they do the right thing, they'll get the right outcome. That if they're kind, the world will reward them. That if they work hard, success will follow. But life doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on power, strategy, and leverage. Machiavelli made this brutally clear. The world is not shaped by justice. It's shaped by the strong, the cunning, the bold. Waiting for fairness is like waiting for a storm to apologize. It's not going to happen. The man who waits to be treated right instead of learning how to move right will always be behind. He'll get walked over, overlooked, outplayed. There are no rules, only results. The ones who win don't cry about the system. They learn it, they study it, they exploit it. They know how to navigate corruption, lies, betrayal, manipulation. Because they understand that these aren't rare exceptions. They're part of the game. And only the foolish expect the game to be clean. They strong don't sit around complaining. They adjust, they adapt, they evolve. While everyone else is waiting for life to be fair, they're building the tools to dominate the unfairness. Hard work is useless if it's not directed by intelligence. Good intentions mean nothing if you don't know how to protect them. You can work 10 times harder than the next man, but if he understands leverage, timing, influence, and perception, he will win and you will wonder why. That's the truth most men don't want to hear. They want to believe the world will recognize their effort, their heart, their struggle. But the world rewards what it can measure, value, influence, power. If your work doesn't create those things, it won't save you. The foolish cling to a false sense of justice because it gives them comfort. They tell themselves the universe will balance the scales, that karma will handle it. But karma doesn't cut checks, because an effect don't always line up how you want. Evil men win, cowards rise, liars prosper. Not because life is broken, but because those men knew how to move in silence, how to manipulate appearances, how to make plays in the shadows while the idealists sat in the light hoping to be seen. You can scream about fairness, or you can become so powerful that it no longer matters. That's the difference between a victim and a strategist. The victim needs the world to change. The strategist changes his approach to dominate the world. He doesn't care if the game is rigged. He studies the rig, learns the angles, bends the odds. He becomes so sharp that even an unfair game becomes winnable. They simply withdraw. Life doesn't care about how much you've suffered. It cares about how you use that suffering. It doesn't ask if your intentions are pure. It asks if your execution is effective. It doesn't wait for you to catch up. It moves forward, fast and ruthless. And the only men who survive are the ones who stopped expecting mercy and started creating force. So here's the truth. Cold, sharp, and unapologetic. The world doesn't owe you understanding, fairness, or comfort. If you want to rise, you need to kill the weakness inside you. You need to stop chasing validation like a starving dog and start becoming a man who commands respect in silence. You need to stop trusting blindly and start moving with precision, testing every word, every intention, every smile. You need to master your emotions, not drown in them. Because the second you lose control, you give someone else the power to steer your fate. And above all, you must reject the lie of comfort. Because the second you choose ease over effort, you start digging your own grave. Machiavelli didn't write for the soft. He didn't speak to the kind-hearted dreamer waiting for justice. He wrote for the strategist, the wolf, the one who understands that power is taken, not given. That respect is built through strength, discipline, and ruthless clarity. So ask yourself, are you here to play the game, or are you here to win it? Because only fools expect the world to bend for them. The rest of us bend the world until it breaks.